Hi and welcome to my channel. I'm Alex and this is In the Kitchen with Alex. Today I'm going to be making a vegetable stew out of these beautiful vegetables I received from my local CSA. Got beets, zucchini, squash, tomatoes, all so fresh and incredible, potatoes, mushrooms. Those are little patty pan squash that are just wonderful. You can cook them the same way as you cook regular zucchini. I have onions and dried dill. The dill is actually from my garden and I just dried it myself. As I said, I have some mushrooms that I'm going to be adding to this. This is a wonderful vegetable stew, and the ingredients that you use are really adaptable. So you can use any of your favorite ingredients, favorite vegetables. I have some olive oil and a little bit of butter. The butter just adds a richness to it. We're also going to be using a little bit of tomato paste and a little bit of molasses. You're also going to need a little bit of wine. I often keep the leftovers of wine from dinner parties or just dinner with my husband in the refrigerator for cooking. You'll need salt and pepper. And lastly, you'll need some garlic. I'll have the recipe down below. We're just going to get started by cutting up all of my zucchini and squash. And I like to cut these into just bite-sized chunks, but you can choose to cut them in any way that you prefer. I've got them all in one bowl and I'm just going to kind of toss them around a little bit and put that to the side and get started on the potatoes. You can choose to peel your potatoes or leave the skin on. These potatoes had a very rough skin straight from the garden, so I decided to peel them. This recipe involves quite a lot of chopping, but once you get everything chopped, the dish comes together very easily. So I'm just going to prepare the onions by chopping them into kind of a rough dice. And same for the mushrooms, kind of a little bite-sized chop on the mushrooms. And I'm also going to cut the tomatoes into smallish bites so I don't get any huge chunks of tomatoes in the stew. Then I'm going to peel and chop up the beets. If you're using beets, I recommend chopping them last. They have a tendency to dye everything that they come in contact with, including your hands. So I usually do them last, and then I wash the knife and the cutting board, and of course my hands. I'm just going to move the bowl to the side. I managed to get most of the beet dye out of my hands, which is great. I'm doing this in the Instant Pot, but you can certainly do this on the stove. I have my olive oil and butter warming and melting. First thing I'm going to put in are the onions and let them saute for just a minute or two. I'm going to add in my garlic, get that stirred around. Again, let it saute for a minute or two before I start adding the other vegetables. All the vegetables go in carefully so as not to spill them over the side. And I'm going to break up my dill, sort of get it off the stem and get it in, mixed in with the vegetables. I'm going to add in a nice healthy squeeze of tomato paste and a good healthy drizzle of molasses. Exact amounts will be down below in the recipe. And the red wine goes in at this point. I am making mine in the Instant Pot, and I'll just do it for about 18 minutes on high. But if you're doing this on the stove, you're just going to want to cover your pot and let it simmer until all the vegetables are tender. If you're doing it in a slow cooker, transfer it to your slow cooker and cook it on low for just a few hours until, like I said, all the vegetables are tender and delicious. Thank you so much for cooking along with me today. I hope you'll give this recipe a try and enjoy it as much as I do. Have a wonderful day.